Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Starting our today's lesson with the great name of Allah, the Rahman, the Rahim. My dear student, Assalamu alaikum. Our today's topic is the hazard of flood. As you know, it's from literature. We are going to do this first as earlier we did. We have to discuss first vocabulary, whatever vocabulary are given in the book, and then whatever new vocabulary we are having, we have to discuss that. You can just vocabulary which are given in the book first, we have to discuss along with part of speech. Page number 28, unfeathered, it's not controlled or restricted. As you know, which something is not controlled or that is restricted, it shows or modifies the quality or disquality of something or someone. So this is adjective. Chopped is to cut something into pieces with sharp tools as knife. This is to is coming at the beginning, infinitive to is coming at the beginning. So this is verb. Catastrophic is causing lot of damage and suffering. Catastrophic, as we discussed, the indication for adjective is whenever it is ending with IC, so it would be adjective. So this is actually here it is, and as it is clear from its meaning, it is adjective causing with something that cause lot of damage or destruction, that is called catastrophic. Render is to cause somebody something to be in a particular state or condition. Again, this is whenever your something or somebody is in a particular state or condition, that is called render, and to is coming at the beginning, so that would be verb. Vulnerable is people or thing deserve respect because they are old, important, wise, etc. Here girls, my dear student, you have to, one is vulnerable, one is vulnerable. Both of them are adjective, but the difference between these two is that vulnerable is people or thing that deserve respect. And vulnerable is weak and easy hurt physically or emotionally. When someone is weak, or they are just like we can take example of the people, those who are living near to the river and ravine, so they are vulnerable to any kind of disaster. This thing, when we are talking about vulnerable, the people, they deserve respect, they are very important or they are wise, so we can call it vulnerable. Malnutrition, a poor condition of health caused by lack of food or lack of the right type of food. When malnutrition, when some people they are not getting proper amount of food or proper food, we can call it malnutrition. So here is a poor condition of the people. Poor condition of the people, again it indicates noun because it's getting start with article a. Embankment is a wall of stone or earth made to keep water back or to carry a road or railway road over low ground. Embankment is whenever you are preparing a wall of stone just in order to protect yourself from any kind of flood. That is called embankment. When you wanted to protect yourself, it's a wall, because why we are using a wall? A wall is starting with article a, so this channelize, actually in the book it is given that a passage that water can flow along, especially in the ground and the bottom of the river. Whenever the word is ending with lize, L-I-Z-E or whatever is Z-E, that is actually, channel is noun and channelize is verb. We can say to form a channel. The meaning would be to form a channel. Imminent is likely to happen very soon. Something that can happen very soon, we can call it imminent. Imminent is adjective. Phenomena, as we discussed it earlier as well, affect or event in nature, our society, especially one that is not fully understood, is called phenomena. Settlement, an official agreement that ends an argument between two people or groups. Settlement is again, it's starting with N, so this is again noun. And because it's ending, another indication for that is it's ending with ment. As I told you in the previous lecture, that whenever a word is ending with ment, it is called what? It is the part of speech of that word would be noun. Cope is to deal successfully with something difficult. When you cope up with any troublesome student, when you cope up with any situation, when you cope up with any hazard, that is called to deal successfully with something difficult, either that is situation, either that is someone or something. Ravine is a deep, very narrow valley with steep sides. Ravine is actually we call it when the valley is very deep, we call it as ravine. Livestock, the animals kept on a farm, for example, cows or sheep. When we are keeping the animals in the farm, we call, in combined form, we call it as livestock. Evacuation is the process of moving people from one place of danger to another place. When you evacuation is when you are taking the people out from the place. Now we are going to have some new vocabulary. We are going to discuss that. Mitigate is to make something less. When you want to, or when you are going to make something less, for example, you are going to mitigate the risk of any disaster or the risk of any situation, so that we can call it mitigate. Mitigate is what? Because it's getting start with to. Now, synchronize is to harmonize in regard to the time, or to occur at the same time. So the government should only, they should work closely with the communities to synchronize all the efforts to mitigate the risk of any disaster. Now we are having potential. Potential is actually, he is having potential to do something great. He's having the ability to do something great. So inability, so this is noun because it's getting start with N. As I told you, it is not necessary that whatever indication I have told you before for recognizing the noun, start ending with ment, ty, ism, ness. These all are the indication of recognizing a noun, but there are many other exceptional cases that this is not necessary that all these indication must be at the end. So only those words would be noun. No, actually we are having another, in exceptional cases we are having many other words, and now we can easily know that whenever it is getting start with N, so that would be noun. Devastate is to damage. Devastate, sometime, as I told you, my dear student, as I told you before, that sometime past, present participle form and past participle form. Present participle form, like gerund, we can use them as, we are putting ing form with it. Present participle form, sometimes we are using that as adjective. Sometimes past participle form we are using as adjective. So here if we are talking about devastate, devastating when it's taking ing form of the verb, so that would be adjective. So it is not necessary that all the time we are having whatever indication we have discussed for adjective, that it's ending with null or taking ic, whatever is. So here it is taking ing form of the verb. So sometime present participle form can be used as adjective. Waterborne is transmitted by water. The diseases which are transmitted by water is called waterborne. For example, whenever it's the time or the situation of flood, because of flood, many waterborne diseases can cause or can affect the people very much. Now we are having infrastructure. Infrastructure is actually the basic facility and service for the people is called infrastructure. And because it was the worst disaster in the history of Pakistan, the flood of 2010, it's destroyed the infrastructure of the country or the area. Execute is to kill is punishment. Whenever you are killing or giving punishment to someone, it is called execute. Execute is to carry out, to follow. Now, whenever we are talking about execute, I will execute your order properly. It means that I have to carry your order, whatever order you have given me, I have to carry that properly. Before going to the summary, we have to discuss the theme. The theme is actually awareness of crisis, accident and natural calamity. When we are talking about this hazard of flood, hazard, as you know, it means a chance or a risk. We are going to discuss that in detail as well. So when we wanted to aware ourselves of crisis, of accident, of natural calamity, so we are going to, this is actually the theme. Now, as you know, calamity is any natural event resulting in great loss. Just like calamity and disaster can be synonym. Now let me discuss what is the difference between hazard and disaster. The difference between hazard and disaster is, hazard is a chance or a risk. Whenever we are having, for example, we know that tomorrow is going to be a heavy rainfall. You're having, they are telling you, they are informing you that there will be heavy rain. The people who are living or who are having the home near rivers or near the valleys, so they have the hazard of, they are vulnerable to that disaster of flood. Now, when we are talking about disaster is actually the unexpected natural or man-made destruction, and sometimes we can use man-made destruction causing significant physical damage to the earth, or sometimes it might bring permanent change to the natural environment. Now, when the hazard change into disaster? Hazard change into disaster when the people with no preparedness, when the people are not ready for the hazard, when they just, because as we discussed that we cannot stop, because disaster is a natural calamity or a natural destruction or man-made destruction. We cannot stop actually. The main thing is that how we can reduce or how we can mitigate the risk of or the hazard of disaster, any disaster. Now we are going to discuss the summary of this chapter. Summary of this chapter is that it's talking about the devastating flood of 2010. It affected many people. Why? Because many people were claimed to be killed in that disaster, the flood of 2010. It was the worst disaster in the history of Pakistan. Why it is called the worst disaster in the history of Pakistan? Because it destroyed home, crops and infrastructure. Many people, those who were vulnerable for the disaster, they were rendered to be homeless. They were rendered to be suffering from many kind of diseases. Now we are going to discuss that we cannot stop any kind of disaster. The thing is, what we are going to do, what measures or what steps we are going to do in order to reduce the risk of any disaster. For this, not only the people Not only the people and not only the government can do something for that. What we have to do, both the government should closely work with the community to synchronize all the effort to reduce the risk of disaster.